Greetings and welcome to the last edition of the Gaming Codex for 2017, the show where I try to explain to you all the myriad of words and terms used within the video games industry to describe itself and games at large. Today's term is one that has been very important over the course of the year 2017, and it is microtransactions. According to the general definition, microtransactions, sometimes abbreviated as MTX by corporate assholes, is a business model where users can purchase virtual goods via micropayments. Microtransactions are often used in free-to-play games to provide a revenue source for the developers. While microtransactions are a staple of the mobile app market, they are also available on traditional computer platforms such as Valve's Steam platform as well as console gaming. It's very important to define what a microtransaction is, which may be a bit more difficult than you would think. An expansion is not a microtransaction, it is a huge chunk of game that you can buy that will extend your ability to enjoy your favorite title. DLC, however, is a bit of a nebulous area, because although some DLC is absolutely not a microtransaction kind of affair, because you can't even envision it being that, other DLC, cosmetic DLC that is accessed via small payments, that kind of is a microtransaction type of affair. Actually, not just cosmetics, because you have examples like The Crew, where you could buy a McLaren F1 for $5. Something that could not be accessed in any other way and would not really classify as DLC on account of it being a complete and utter ripoff. Microtransactions, as we know them now, mostly came out of the Asian MMO market. A lot of things related to the way that we interact with the monetization of video games has come from that area, because it was a huge market where people did not actually have a lot of money up front. So they needed to find new and interesting ways in which you could allow the player to actually support the developer and not make them feel like they have to commit to a huge investment. The core idea of a microtransaction is absolutely positive. You pay a small sum for a trinket, a small widget, an element of the game that you could probably do without, but it's nice to have it. And because you like that thing, you may pay for it multiple times, for more of them. And this way you are able to give money to the developer in a way that is better suited to your stream of revenue. Because let's face it, not everyone can afford to pay $60, 60 euros, $80 if you're in Australia for a video game. So a cheaper game or a free game with microtransactions will always have a larger audience. More than the amount of people that would have actually paid for that game. People that can afford a $1, $2, even $5 expense now and again. So that over the course of a year, they may actually end up paying what a game would have actually cost. But because all of it is made through the microtransaction system of the game, all the money goes to the developer, minus some fees for credit cards, but there's no cut taken by some other company. And because people are investing in the game, they are more likely to continue to play, and they will spend more money as time goes on. So over the course of 5 years, if your game is good enough, you will have players spending what you would be getting normally from 3 or 4 games. Sure, it's not all at once, it's not in big chunks, and a lot of them will probably never pay anything if your game is free. They'll be content with playing for free because they have no money. But theoretically, you could still make more money than you would if you sold the game directly. Theoretically. Which leads us to the popular definition. Pay to win, boo, unless I use them. Here's where that theoretically bit comes in. While some games do try and keep the microtransactions at a level in which it will not actually affect the gameplay, the power the players have, their abilities to influence others to basically become gods among men, like Path of Exile, for example, that just sells all sorts of cosmetics and some inventory tabs that, well, your inventory is already very big. A lot of them don't. A lot of them just outright sell power. Some walk a fine line between these by selling convenience items, things that will reduce the amount of time you need to achieve something, things like experience potions, things like gold bonuses, things that will enable you to catch up to other players that have more time at their disposal. But on the other hand, if you are one of those players that does have the time to actually play, using those bonuses will give you an advantage to the point where no one other than someone like you that spends money like you will be able to reach you. Not the people that play but don't have money, not the people that have money but seldom play. It creates a layered effect that really is fundamentally detrimental to the game as time goes on. And still, that's the benign approach. The one that didn't start with the idea of, oh, let's give everybody power. Let's let them buy power. But some developers do actually absolutely let you do that. They let you buy weapons. They let you buy things that will make you absolutely a better player. And not in the sense that you learn to play better, but better, more powerful in the game than everybody else. And when that happens, you will absolutely see a shift in the way that people behave. I really wish I remember the exact article from Gamasutra where I got this from, but a CEO of a Chinese MMO company, can't remember the name either, was pretty much happy and boasting about how they managed to create a system in their game that basically recreates what you would find in a street gang, where there is one central person acting as the boss who has financial means. That boss then spreads some of his power, through the microtransaction system to some lower players, friends, acquaintances, people that become his lieutenants. And those people then start getting other people around them, lower tier people, people that they make work for them in exchange for the eventual promise of receiving something from the microtransaction store. And the cycle continues until you get a few players at the top using every lower player in the game as their tools. And that is seen as a positive because it absolutely works as a microtransaction engine. And it is completely sinister. But the ones that use it don't really care because they're winning. They're absolutely winning. Now, what is the marketing definition for microtransactions? Well, that would be micro. Nothing micro about this. Microtransactions are not micro anymore. They're not $1, $2. They're whatever you get after you convert a certain amount of cash into the virtual coin used by the item store of the game. Money that usually doesn't actually fit what you want to buy. You want to buy something that costs, 500 virtual coins? Okay. You can only buy 400 coins or 1,000 coins. There is no in between. There is no buy 100. The systems are made in such a way that you are forced to buy as much as possible. And they keep reinforcing the idea that the more you buy, the more you save, to the point where, hey, buy this microtransaction bundle for $99 and you will have the absolute best offer possible. You'll be able to enjoy the game so much then. What they really meant to say is that you will only be able to enjoy the game then, because the game is set up in such a way that it cannot be properly played without microtransactions or without having some severe penalties. Mobile games are especially horrendous in this aspect, where the people actually making the levels have to, and that's by company mandate, they have to make levels in such a way that the player has a very low chance of getting through them. Because if they continue to fail, then they will resort to the microtransaction system to get an advantage, to get a tool, to get an extra life, to get something that will let them progress. Because otherwise, they will rack their brains out and either give up or pay. And odds are they won't give up because the games are made to be very appealing with bright colors and all sorts of effects, and like how gambling works with slot machines that have rings and bells and whistles and pretty colors, something that attracts you like a pretty flower attracts a bee. They are engineered to make you spend. They're not made to be good games, they're not made to be fun games, they're made to just make you pay. And that's it. And again, not $1, $2, it's something that's built with the express intention of making people buy a lot, of attracting whales, people with a lot of money to spend, sometimes money that isn't theirs. They could be kids suckered into buying these, that will spend as much money as possible for as long as possible. In that way, microtransactions can absolutely be one of the worst things imaginable in video games. And the way that these are implemented, like at this level of absolute corporate assholeness, isn't present only in mobile games. You find these in AAA games as well, where some companies will not only sell the game at $60 with 80 or $100 special editions, but still also have the microtransactions there to lock out content, to sell power, to basically ruin the experience for everybody, apart from the people actually buying it who can afford it. It creates that two-tier system for the people that will not pay extra and the people that will always pay extra. And we'll get more into the motivations for this in a later episode when we'll talk about video game budgets. So closes the last edition of the Gaming Codex for the year 2017. Goodbye.